issue for me. You know, in the past, probably 75% of my fishing was done out of the Arena boat launch. And now for me, I gotta launch my boat to do any guide trips, and I gotta commute from the 14 boat launch all the way up. If I want to do any fishing towards Ferry Bluff or anything, it's costing me $1,000. I mean, it's astronomical what it costs me in fuel extra a year, not having that boat launch there. It goes on from the fire department to, older people that can't get out. Like Phil and I know other guys, they used to use that boat launch, have for years, I've been born and raised here, and I've seen one other time in my life where the boat launch was non-usable. Of course, we always used to, back in the day, we used to get a June flood, and then we used to get a spring flood. Well, we all know our climate and everything's changed, we don't get that. We're lucky if we get a spring flood anymore. So now for this boat landing to be in the stage that it's at now, it's going to take all of us to step up to the plate to try to do something different other than nature. Because I don't think at this point in time that there's anything naturally going to happen to wash that boat landing out ever again to ever be used. It's up to us now to try to get other people involved, whether it's the Department of Natural Resources or whoever, and we're going to have to come up with a game plan. The DNR owns several acres downstream from the Arena boat launch. I don't know if there could possibly be something where the boat launch could be moved downstream or what would take place with that. But I know as far as I drive by there and I see these guys that own their own canoe businesses and stuff like that. The time that's spent, when you could use it normally in past years, that's all downtime. So that's all the more time everybody's going to have to put in to try to use the boat launch. And I just think that we need to come up with something different as far as, I think, maybe having the boat landing moved downstream or something in that nature.
The nature thing, it's kind of become the way it is because man has messed around with nature the way it was in there. So it's kind of, what we need to do is maintain it to be as natural as possible because we've already messed it up with what we've done through the years there. It isn't just like pristine, mankind never touched it before. And then speaking of canoe liveries, did we have a comment from the...
The concern is that we all should be able to use that. I feel badly that we go there every day, twice a day, sometimes 5 times a day, and there's no boaters, no motor boaters. And we really want those guys back. And I know that that's not going to happen with the way the landing is now. I don't know what we can do to make it better. I know that in our Boscobel area, they do dredge that channel in order for them to get into the landing. So if there's even something that would be temporary, yearly, to help all of us get back in there, it's a wonderful, beautiful area.
Is the speaker here, and I think Christine. Which reminds me, there is an article, from the Boscobel Dial with a picture showing a huge amount of silt and stuff that they dug out to improve that landing down there. Again, technicalities here, that is a municipal landing. That's not one that's owned by the DNR or operated maintained by. Pardon me? Run by the county. By Grant County, right. And now the other news article is up by the dam. The new boat launch coming to the VFW park. Upriver from the existing ramps there, they are going to be improving that. And again, that's not, DNR landing. It's, I don't know, is it a Prairie Sack landing or whatever?
Because they've got holes in there already and the plastic. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but is that the idea?
Yeah, so Boscobel is being improved, VFW up by Prairie Sack, but dam's being improved, A few years ago, time flies, I forget how many, but I was on the boat ramp committee for the town of Maysville that, redid the ramp there. And that, went from being one of the worst launches there, steep launch sideways into a very strong current, into what they have now. And so that's been, a lot nicer ever since. And again, there was, river bottom was disturbed a little bit in order to, I remember from that time, and I haven't had a chance to look it up and research it, but I seem to recall that, you don't need any special exceptions to keep an existing landing cleared out. I don't know the right terminology for that. And again, I could be wrong on that thinking also.
About a month ago, I was out on in a fishing tournament local here, put on by some guys, and we were up just below Prairie Bluff, and we had some canoers yelling for us. Nothing against canoers, we ignored them. We thought just having a good time yelling, and all of a sudden we hear, "Hey, can you call 911?" So we go across the river. We get over there, and there's a gal, probably 20, 22 years old. She's having a seizure. They throw her in the front of my boat, and me and another guy that's my size, and her boyfriend, we come down river to the arena landing, and obviously can't get into the landing. At the time I got there, the police officer was at the boat landing, so I ran across the sand, talked to him, told him what was going on, waited for the ambulance to come. Ambulance crew came, it was two older people, nothing against them. We had to walk across hot sand. So I grabbed the stretcher, or the, I don't know what you call it, straight board, carried across. It took them a while to come across. They got over there. Thankfully, Terry from Traders had him and 4 other guys that were doing canoes. They came over with us, and EMTs got the lady down, and we carried her back across. But it was probably 15 minutes down. It was probably an hour that by the time we got her back to the ambulance. She went red lights and sirens to South Prairie Hospital.
About 3 weeks ago, I had about the same thing happen to me. Canoers out in the river, they're yelling for me, and I went over there. Of course, nobody had cell phones that would get signal or whatever. I called 911. A guy was chopping wood, chunk of wood came up, hit him in the eye. Couldn't see out of his eye no more. He definitely needed medical assistance. So it's what I got to do is I got to run him to the arena boat landing. Of course, again, just like Nick said, you can't get right in there. So what do? Fortunately, he could walk with a little bit of assistance on both sides. So we walked him across the sand. But same situation again. If you got somebody, that can't walk or whatever, you got to attempt that rescue across, probably 100, 125 yards of sand, you know what I mean? So it makes it more difficult. Things that are real urgent, that need medical assistance immediately, it's loss of time. So, that's just something to take into consideration.
Well, Friends of Lower Wisconsin volunteers on a regular basis. We always are willing to offer assistance. We don't do emergency rescue, but we offer assistance. Somebody's canoe floats away overnight on them, or they lose some gear because they tipped over or whatever. We help go out and retrieve it, recover it. Because, river cleanup is one of our things, so we get at it right away. That's always good. But so I got a call last summer about this time with similar water conditions. And an older gentleman with his family got into some bees and stuff, and he thought he was going to be okay. Previously hadn't had a real bad reaction and all that. But I was asked if I would just go up and maybe, render some assistance in case he wanted to get off the river and so forth. And he was, Nick, you recall, he was just downriver from the arena landing a little bit. Yeah. So I went to Highway 14 to go up. Well, yeah, they didn't know exactly where they were. That was the deal. Right. And so as I am just ready to head upriver from the Highway 14 landing, arena EMT show up to go up there. And so I figured, well, I'll keep going anyhow because I can help the rest of the family get their gear out of there and everything else. So I went up there and I got there well before the arena EMTs could get there. They ended up with I call it a stump jumper boat, a mud buddy, whatever you want to call it, the long shaft beaver tail in the back, shoving off from Trader's Island to get out there. So I got the gentleman, you started to have a reaction at that point, got him in my boat, took him down the river, met up with EMTs coming up, and then they took over with that medical care, and then I went up and assisted the family, and of course I got to take, the family, and it's starting to get dark at this point in time, so I'm dragging, 3 canoes and all the gear and the family in the boat, all the way down to Highway 14 in order to be able to continue rendering assistance so that they can get off the water and get up to the hospital with their dad and that thing, so. And is there another canoe up for you?
I'm with the Marina Fire Department, and we've had 2 recent rescues up on the river. Generally, we've had to go during the night, so we use the stump jumper motors, so we can get up through there in the shallow water. And to get, the last rescue was 2 hours. 2 hours to find the guy. He's out with a cell phone shining, the guy's out on fire and is burning up pretty good. He was just upriver or just downriver from the marina landing. We could have been there in 10 minutes had that landing been open, and that guy is out there laying on a sandbar burned up. On another note, I'm also a recreational waterfowler and a hunting guide, and again, most of the time you're out there in the dark setting up decoys and stuff, and with the travel time from any other landing upriver or downriver, that portion of the river is unusable. You can't get there yet, it's just not feasible time-wise to get there and use that for waterfowling, and probably not a lot of trappers get up in there either because of the accessibility problems.
Yeah, you're talking about the Mazel Landing, and the Mazel Landing stays open and always will stay open because of the hard pan that's above the landing. You don't have any hard pan out here in the Arena Landing. As well, there's a landing where the beach is, the infamous Newt Beach. Okay. There's concrete staves, there's a concrete, excuse me, landing there, which there's no hard pan to keep that sand from moving in there. The natural beauty of the river, I can't understand how the DNR will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for landings and just let them fill in like that and do nothing. And they know, I'm not an engineer or anything, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how to move that sand out of there. I mean, years ago, the wing dams on that river, you could go to any historical museum and see pictures of the wing dams that was on that river. There's still wing dams there yet. If those above them landings were wing dammed, that sand would be gone in a New York minute. Reno Landing, Mazel Landing, and they know that. But I don't understand how they could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and let this take place. But the Mazel Landing, there's no worry there because there's hard pan above there. And it will never fill in. That pool of water will always stay there. But, there's no sense in building another landing and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars more and letting that fill in when you have 2 perfectly good landings. The beach up there, they were told years ago, if they just put a wing dam above it, that beach would be gone. Gone.
Up the Riverway Board itself, not to my knowledge, but maybe DNR has done some studies that I don't know.
And I don't know, to comment about how many liveries compared to now from 10 years ago?
I'm not old enough to know that now.
Yeah, well, that's what I was
But as far as I know, I can count 7 liveries between Sauk City and Boscoville. If I'm wrong, but I don't think it's 25.
Well, I think the person that I got this from, I don't know either. I
I'm
haven't done a
counting
count myself, but this is like,
responsible liveries that have the DNR right next to them all the time, making sure.
I realize that.
And we have a brand new restrictions when they come in, the safety speech is given, and there is no camping now between 14 and 23 bridge on the sandbars. It's restricted by the DNR, as of a couple of weeks ago.
That's what we're telling our people.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit more information about that. The particular site that you're talking about is actually private land. So it's not DNR restricting camping on that section, Highway 23 to 14. It's the fact that that's somebody's private land, and they don't want somebody on their land camping. So that's what it is. We're just making folks aware of that. It's a comment that we've received, and we want to respect that landowner's rights, so we carried on that information to a lot of listeners. So that's what the deal is with that.
That would be just the shoreline or sandbars out there?
It's not surveyed out there. I wouldn't be able to describe to you here, but it is a large section of sandbar that historically had been used for folks coming down the river. I mean, it's not hard to see why. I mean, you know, the rest of the islands you can camp on, but you know, when you come to this one, it may just look any different than the rest of the ones. So that's why they are camping there, but that is indeed private land.
Is it posted?
No.
I'm not sure what the status of it as far as being posted. That's something we did mention to that landowner, that would be very helpful if they wanted to keep folks off of it.
Last time I was up there, they did have some more trespassing signs up. They have a bench, not that the signs up there.
I had promised any authorities showing up tonight that I would not be putting them on the spot for anything, so thank you, Brian. But to address the study question, you got any? And by the way, this is Brian Hefty with DNR and Matt Siegling working on a Tower Hill over here. They're very helpful guys if you have questions.
As far as the study, is there a particular study you're looking at? There has been studies that are done on recreation use. The Wisconsin SCORP, that's done region-wide, done by area, the southwest part of the state. There's a study done as far as what recreation use is popular, what's on the uptrend, what's on the downtrend. Is that the type of study that you're thinking about, or some?
I don't know, the question was over there.
In terms of number of canoe liveries, I think we got the answer right here. She had mentioned about 7 liveries. That seems about right to me. That's something we can do a study on. Pretty much answers it.
And back to our, what we did is just, I just call it a head count, absolutely non-scientific survey, but hey, I think for all of us that use this section of the river, that is very good information, so we got some idea what's going on out there, especially for fire and rescue.
And I appreciate the information, because it's a quick figure, and you've got almost half of the village of Marina that's out there that don't have a clue where they're at as far as for emergency services. So when Nick picks them up, or Bobo picks them up, or anybody in this room that knows the river, they know where the landing is, they know where Ferry Bluff is, they know where whatever is. But something for the livery services, with everybody having smartphones, that I've been advocating, if you could have them download a GPS app.
There's a launch sense app that we have on our website.
Okay, if you could really hammer them on that, because we've never had anybody know where they're at on the river GPS wise. They can triangulate and get us within a half mile usually, but a half mile's a long way. And we've had situations where every fire department from Prairie to Sac to Lone Rock has been on the river at the same time looking for people because they don't know where they're at. And it's not always a livery service, but a lot of times it is. And neither good, bad, or indifferent, but just anything that you can do to help out with that would be greatly appreciated.
The app's gonna be fine, but the 2 rescues that I've done, they've had no cell service. I mean,
That's the same issue that I had. They had 3 phones out there. None of the 3 phones were bad service.
the group I had was-
cellular, forget
They were from Chicago.
The group I had was from Chicago, and they tried. I actually called Grandma Mary here. I didn't even call 911. I told her what's going on. I'll meet you at the landing, and that's how we communicated it.
Usually we can talk to them by cell phone, but apparently I don't.
Yeah, so.
There you go again. Their vehicle was up at Y. And, they wanted me to commute to there. Well, at that point in time, the river's low. I'm not risking running in the rocks to go all the way up there. When he's going to Sauk Prairie to the emergency room anyhow, So I said, 911 and just, take them to the Marina boat launch. And just again, it's unfortunate that we can't drive right there and drop them right off at the bank, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, and to some of the younger folks in here, like Christine over here, it just, 8, 10 years ago, I used to go in and out of here with a pontoon boat, that's how much things have changed. Very decent.
I'll talk loud so you can hear me. Tell you a little history about the river. Bill Roberts, my dad was Woody Roberts, you probably know him, and I got appointed to be on the committee that started looking into the scenic riverway. I think afterwards they wished 100 times they'd never seen me, but that was beside the point. We've been up and down the river. We was promised everything. There was a gentleman from the university, I think he was a professor, Rick Chenowitz, I think that name, I know he's still living, nice gentleman in Nashville. Yeah, good. But anyway, he promised us everything. The DNR was there, you're gonna get the boat landing, we had a private boat landing down there, and half a public one. Craig can probably remember his dad, and Eric's dad was involved in them, and we kept them open, and there were a lot of private things. But anyway, this scenic riverway got in, and with that come a lot of things. But now I'm telling you, I don't know how many people in here have seen a dragging and pulling a person out of the water drowning, but it's not a pretty sight. Some of you have seen it. And it's just a matter of time before it happens again. We hope it don't, but let's be realistic about it. And if that happens out here, it's going to, I wonder where the liability is going to come. And say, we was fishing. I go up to Mazo and go in. Can't go in here, and I go up to Mazo. We was fishing there the other day, and here come a person in a tube. And the tube got fairly close to us, right across from the boat landing. You people that know it know where it's at. There's an area about from here to the thing wide that's very swift on the Stock County side. And all of us were maybe from here to 14 from that area. And this young lady starts screaming, and I thought, what in the world is she screaming for? And we was kind of going that way, and she said, my tube is going flat. Well, gee whiz, did you ever try to get a lady in a boat with a tube going flat? And it was her own tube and all that, and she must have hit a rock with it or something. And that water, probably, some of you gentlemen that fish know, probably 6, 8 feet, 10 feet deep. Well, we got a little boat. And I mean, there's me and another guy in it, 600 pounds, and she was probably close to that. And how do you get her in a boat? Get her in a boat like that. But anyway, this is what happened. We got her over to where we could get her thing and took her over to the boat landing. Now, that night, we came back. We go upriver. We came back. We pulled into the Mason boat landing. I appreciate it dearly. And this gentleman was there. And he said, now, are you acquainted around here? Yeah, I said, I was born and raised in Arena. I said, we can't use the Arena boat landing. I said, do you know the Arena boat landing? No, I don't know it. Okay, so I went and got the car. My partner stayed there at the boat, and I come back, and he said, say, is there another boat landing around here where there isn't so many homes? I thought that was kind of a funny question. And I said, well, there's one at Arena, but I said, you can't get a boat in it. Oh, I'm not worried about a boat. And I said, is there anything below that? And I told him the boat landings. So I got to talking to him. And like to talk, I said, what are you asking for? And he said, well, I'm not from the area. Where are you from? Now this is what's going to happen to the river. I seen it what it went when it started to now. He said, I'm from New York City. I looked at him, New York City. Yeah. And I said, what are you doing here? Well, he said, I'm looking up for business. And he said, kayaking is a big thing out there, and people like to come to Wisconsin, and I'm looking to get them. He said, I'm making arrangements with a motel, and I'm making arrangements to take them down. But he said, they don't like to see homes. Well, I said, man, there aren't many homes here. Well, any homes is too many for them. But I said, how many people are you talking about? And he said, well, I'd like to have about 35 a week. Well, it starts out at 35 and it gets big. It's free enterprise, good thing. But we have got to get our boat landings straightened up. I do some trapping, can't get down there trapping. I do some hunting, I can't trap down there anymore, or hunt, because I can't get the boat landing in there. But anyway, it bothers me, we had a tornado go through up here between Dodgeville. Some of you gentlemen and ladies maybe was there helping. I heard, by the way the grapevine, the DNR here would probably confirm it, that the DNR is going to, in the state park, I don't know, it's with the DNR, they're gonna spend $18,000 to $25,000 cleaning the horse trails up. Now, I don't know if that figure's up or down, but they have a right. But if you spend $18,000 to $25,000 on that boat landing and give it to Vern Halverson or somebody, we get in there next week. You know, and a tornado might come and blow the trees back in up there. And I think that we've got to put the heat on the DNR and Mazo. I buy a season ticket up there. I think we ought to be charging people to use it. I'd be more than willing to use it, or to pay it for it, because it's maintenance. They got a new bridge in down there, they got a beautiful road in, but they can't maintain the boat landing.
There's a pot up there for a donation, Phil.
Pardon?
They have a little jug up there for a donation right there at the landing, that little steel green thing there.
At the arena?
Mason.
Oh, no, I buy a,
Town Park has got a,
I buy a $20 ticket. It's cheap.
annual ticket, yeah.
Annual thing. It's cheap as
The
twice.
boat landing state funded.
Pardon?
The arena boat landing state funded.
Yeah, let's, again, the Mazelmanie Town Park is the town of Mazelmanie. The arena is DNR. Yeah. And that's the difference between Boscobel and the VFW and then other places is municipality rather than the DNR. So that's the challenge here is, you know, DNR has to.
DNR's got more money than the town of Maysville.
Well, I do know that, you know, like the VFW, the article even says, you know, they got, you know, a good chunk of state money, you know, the municipality did to help do that. So, yeah, it's,
But anyway, the river's gonna do nothing but get more popular. I don't use it in the weekends because I leave that for the canoeist and that. But it's back, it's gonna be used. I was wondering how many, there's a couple DNR gentlemen here, how many other DNR people are here tonight? Anybody represent DNR other than these two? Have they been contacted, have you contacted them? Have they got a specialist that looks at the river, or is it these two gentlemen?
well, I think for at least the last several years, it's been looked at and talked about and so forth. So, Brian, again, I don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't think.
But I will.
Tim. I think, to add a little bit here, there's some information that I think that it's probably good for you to know. As you had mentioned, you were here at the start of the Riverway. I obviously was not here at that time. But when the Riverway started out, it created a master plan. And one of the strategies of that master plan was to use existing landings along the Riverway. There were not a lot of landings that were allowed in that master plan to be put on state landings. Okay? That was 25 years ago. We are now, right now, redoing our master plan for this property. We're taking public comment. This input we're getting from you tonight, we're making notes of that. I encourage you all to be involved in that process. But one of the things we are looking at is master or boat landing. And you mentioned about funding. I know you mentioned 18 grand on the horse trails out there. Just in the municipality landings and county landings, annually the department puts $22,000 just in the operation of those landings that are not DNR funded. I actually give more money to them to operate their landings than what I have for my own land that we manage. So you mentioned about landings. One of the comments we've heard loud and clear is that there is a need for more landings. One of the things is that put a landing on the Wisconsin River is challenging. It's actually the most challenging place to put a landing that I haven't been involved in. And I cover an 18-county area in the southern half of Wisconsin. Just because of the changing dynamic river, it's always changing and moving. I know when I talked to a fish biologist that he's on his 47th year of working for the department. When he puts in a landing, he used to do them. And he said, putting a landing on the Wisconsin River, you should never assume you're going to get more than 15 years out of it. Because the area will change. The better strategy has been to then move the landing. And because it's just even more economical approach to doing it. That's what they've done in the past. So, like I say, we're taking all your comments. Heard loud and clear that, there's a gap here between the Highway 14 landing and the Mesa landing. And for those of you who probably know, the Highway 14 landing was created, why? Because of the PEX landing. That was no more usable. The Mesa Dinar landing, Mesa Beach, where the new beach is, we mentioned that was a landing, that filled in as well. So, one of the things I'd ask all you folks is that if you are very familiar with these areas, by all means, let us know if you see a suitable site. That's what we're looking for, whether we own the land or whether we don't own the land. And we only buy from willing sellers. We can't force somebody to sell it to us, but we'd be interested in knowing those sites, and so we could maybe try to target them.
Can I ask this gentleman a question? There's been, probably a lot of you have heard that there's probably going to be a landing someplace by next fall. Is that true or not?
Whereabouts?
Somewhere in Arena, Spring Green area.
I had not a state landing. I know that if there's some other county or county doing that, I guess I'm not aware of it, but not a state landing.
But you're the gentleman that would work with the DNR making these landings?
Correct. The Riverway is under my management. Yep.
So really there's been no plan on a landing around Arena, right?
Not to put one in immediately, no. Yep.
What's immediately? I mean, like a year?
It's something like you said this year. Yeah, no, we don't have plans to do that. If we found a site tomorrow that was suitable, I can guarantee you we'd start working on trying to develop it, not starting the development.
Okay, is it possible that there's plenty of people here with expertise that you would go to them and let them show you some sites on your land?
Absolutely, that's what I'm asking for. If you have a site, and if you know our lands, and you know where there'd be a good spot, by all means, let us know. That's what we're looking for.
I had a run-in early last spring with our local warden, not young, but he told me straight out that, I'm going to just use this figure, and I wish I could remember it. He told me that I got on a book. He said he's not worried about the boat landing because they make their money on the canoeing. I said, I register my boat, I buy a hunting license, I buy a fishing license. He goes, that's okay, we write millions of dollars tickets to guys, families, glass bottles on the river. Kind of sounds like a business to me.
I wasn't there, and I don't know, I'll let Dave respond himself, but I do want to clarify that citations, we don't get money for. That's right. So, I mean, if we cite somebody, there's no financial gain in us doing it. It's not like the more we cite, the more money we get. We don't get that. As far as making money on the canoeists, we aren't charging them a sticker, that's not something.
That reminds me of a couple things I'd like to clarify. With our organization, the Friends of the Lower Wisconsin Riverway, also known as FLOW, it's never been part of our mission, and it's still not part of our mission, to bring more people to the Lower Wisconsin River. But our mission is to, inform, educate the ones that are coming here on how to use it properly, safely, and ideally get them hooked on helping keep it as pristine and beautiful as it is. Now, having said that, there are a lot of things we do that do bring more people here. But that's not our mission. There's a fine line of distinction there. Back to the just the head mount type things we're doing. Warden Youngquist, I do believe, did get authorization and did a flyover maybe 2 Saturdays ago, counting mainly probably tents and stuff from around. We are also, with our organization, we've gone around to all the landings twice also. And, even noting out-of-state license plates and that kind of stuff. So we'll have that information available for everybody as we get it all put down. So, there was a couple of hands over here.
Yes, my biggest thing is safety. And the next biggest thing is how big is it to go out there and move the sand? It don't cost a lot of money to take it. They went out there, moved all that iron out there. I'm sure DNR's got 10 backhoes down there a day and move the sand so the water comes back in there. Done. Pretty simple.
And everybody would probably agree that that would not be a permanent fix, but it would definitely be usable for the rest of the season.
And maybe it's part of that season, who knows?
And you never know. Right? Let's see, over here, right?
I don't use the boat landing that much, but I wanted to comment kind of on a general thing. And I don't know where all this conversation has been over the last year, but the DNR doesn't own the land. The state of Wisconsin owns the land. We are the state of Wisconsin. The DNR people manage the land. They're supposed to be managing it by our laws, and we're all supposed to work together. So the attitude happens both ways, and we all know that more stuff happens quickly with happier people when we cooperate. And that goes both ways, and there are, I don't know, what it comes down to me, as I sit here and listen to this, is that there's probably 1 or 2 things that are stopping the arena boat landing from being cleaned up, or made usable. It's either who's going to pay to have it done, or there's a law that stops it. Well, and I drove through basketball yesterday and I saw 2 big piles of sand by the entryway, and I grew up in basketball, so I'm used to taking a canoe or a motorboat downstream, turning very quickly to try to get back into that landing. And yesterday I saw it cleaned out, which is the first time I've seen it cleaned out in my life. But if that can be cleaned out there, then it seems that there's not a law preventing it. So then it comes down to probably money. So, and I'm hearing a lot of people here, they're like, hey, I would throw some money in to have it cleaned up. So we can either work together or we can butt heads. And it's a whole lot easier when everybody works together. And so that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ryder.
I'm not sure how many years ago it was, kind of our opinion with 5, 6, maybe Phil, you remember that they redid the landing down there for the new concrete at arena? They put the new slab. Do you remember, Bobo?
Yeah, it was probably almost 10 years ago now.
Has it been that long ago? I mean, a lot of money went into pouring that and getting it ready, and, in that time, it's become less usable. You're gonna spend the time, the money, if I remember correctly, that's part of our boat registration money goes for maintaining boat landings and stuff like that, and, they spent the money to make the landing nicer, but nothing's been done to maintain the landing, and it just kind of seemed like a waste that, there wasn't going to be any plans on maintaining the landing, keeping it usable, why spend the money, take the time to make the landing better? The money went to do it, and it's unusable by motorboat probably 75% of the year. Either due to ice, cold winter, or middle of summer. We get 2 or 3 months in the spring and maybe a month or 2 in the fall if we get some heavy fall rain. And, it just baffles me how, the landing can be made better but not maintained.
Thank you.
I just had a question, like for the DNR, a lot of things